Your body is leaking energy right now. I can prove it, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. What if I told you that there's a scientist who figured out exactly how energy moves through your body, through your environment, through everything? And he discovered that 99% of people are doing one thing every single day that drains them completely? And what if I told you that the elite, the people who seem to have endless energy, who build empires while you're exhausted by noon, they know this technique, and they're using it on you? Before you click away, before you dismiss this, I need you to do one thing. Subscribe right now, because what I'm about to show you will change how you see reality, and you're going to want to come back to this. Hit that button. I'll wait. Okay, here we go. There's a scientist named Dr. Valerie Hunt. You've probably never heard of her, and there's a reason for that. She spent 40 years at UCLA studying human energy fields, biofields, the electromagnetic signatures your body creates every single second. And what she discovered was so profound, so threatening to the systems that keep you weak, that her work got buried. Not discredited, buried. There's a difference. She proved, using scientific instruments, electrode sensors, spectrum analysis equipment, that your body doesn't just have an energy field. Your body is an energy field temporarily organized into matter. And here's the part that changes everything. That field can be measured, manipulated, strengthened, or completely drained, depending on one thing: where you place your attention. Not positive thinking, not manifestation, attention. And they've been stealing yours for decades. Think about it. You wake up, and what's the first thing you do? You check your phone. Immediately, your energy field, your attention, flows outward into a device designed by the smartest engineers on the planet to capture and hold it. Every notification, every red dot, every infinite scroll is an energy extraction system. You're being harvested, and you're doing it voluntarily. Dr. Hunt discovered that when your attention scatters, your energy field fragments. It becomes incoherent, chaotic, weak. But when your attention focuses, when it becomes singular and directed, your energy field amplifies exponentially. We're talking measurable increases in electromagnetic output. Your body becomes a coherent generator instead of a leaking battery. And here's what nobody tells you. The people who seem superhuman, the ones building billion-dollar companies, the ones who transform industries, they all understand this one principle. Energy follows attention. Control your attention, and you control your energy. Lose your attention, and you lose everything. So let me show you how they're stealing it, and then I'll show you how to take it back. Because once you understand the mechanism, once you see the technique Dr. Hunt revealed, you become unstoppable. And that's exactly what they don't want. Let's go back to Dr. Valerie Hunt's lab at UCLA in the 70s and 80s. She's hooking people up to electrodes, not just measuring heart rate or brain waves. She's measuring the electromagnetic field radiating from their bodies using spectral analysis, the same technology they use to analyze light from distant stars. She's looking at frequency, amplitude, coherence, all the qualities that determine whether your energy field is strong or weak. And she's running experiments. She'd have subjects focus on different things: a memory, a person, a goal, a problem, fear, love, anger, peace, and every single time, without exception, the energy field changed instantly. Different frequencies, different patterns, different levels of coherence depending entirely on where the person placed their attention. When someone focused on fear, their energy field became erratic, low frequency, incoherent. The field literally fragmented, like it was breaking apart. When someone focused on love or a clear intention, the field became coherent, high frequency, strong, organized, powerful. But here's where it gets disturbing. She discovered that most people, and I mean like 95% of people, walk around with fragmented energy fields all day long. Not because they're broken, not because they're weak, but because their attention is fragmented. They're thinking about 17 things at once, worrying about the past, anxious about the future, distracted by notifications, pulled in every direction except the present moment. Your energy field mirrors your attention. If your attention is scattered, your energy scatters. And when your energy scatters, you feel exhausted, anxious, overwhelmed, stuck. You can sleep 8 hours and wake up tired because your energy field never cohered. It's been leaking all night because your attention never came home. Now here's the technique she discovered, and this is so simple that you're going to think, I'm messing with you. But I'm not. This is scientifically validated, measurable, repeatable. When you bring your attention into a single point of focus, your energy field reorganizes instantly. Not over weeks, not over months, instantly. She called it coherence training. But it's not meditation. It's not mindfulness. It's something more specific, more powerful, and way more practical. You take your scattered attention and you collapse it into one focal point. Could be your breath, could be a spot on the wall, could be a physical sensation in your body. Doesn't matter what it is, what matters is that all of your attention goes there. 100%. No split focus, no background thoughts, total commitment. And when you do that, here's what happens. Your energy field snaps into coherence like iron filings aligning to a magnet. Your electromagnetic output increases by measurable amounts. Your nervous system shifts from sympathetic, fight or flight, into parasympathetic, rest and repair. Your brain waves synchronize. Your heart rhythm becomes coherent, and you feel it. That shift from scattered and weak to focused and powerful. It's not subtle, it's obvious. But here's the problem. The entire modern world is designed to prevent you from ever doing this. Every app, every platform, every device is engineered to fracture your attention into 1,000 pieces. Because fragmented attention equals fragmented energy, and fragmented energy equals controllable people. Weak people. People who can't think clearly, can't act decisively, can't create change. People who just react, consume, obey. The technique Dr. Hunt revealed isn't just about feeling better, it's about reclaiming the one resource that determines everything else in your life, your energy. Because you can have all the knowledge in the world, all the opportunities, all the potential, but if your energy is scattered, none of it matters. You'll stay stuck. So I'm going to teach you how to do this, how to collapse your attention into coherence, how to stop leaking energy, how to become the kind of person who walks into a room and people feel it, not because you're trying, because your field is coherent, strong, broadcasting power instead of chaos. This is what the elite know. This is what they teach their kids, and they're keeping it from you on purpose. Let me tell you what happened when Dr. Hunt published her findings. You'd think the scientific community would celebrate this, right? Hard data proving that consciousness and energy are measurable, that attention directly affects your biofield, that humans are electromagnetic beings, not just meat machines. You'd think that would be groundbreaking, revolutionary, worthy of mainstream attention. But here's what actually happened. Her work got marginalized, dismissed as pseudoscience, even though she used rigorous scientific methods, peer review, controlled experiments, everything by the book. Why? Because if people understood that they're energy beings, that their attention controls their energy, and that their energy determines their reality, the entire control system collapses. Think about it. The pharmaceutical industry depends on you believing you're a chemical machine. Pill for this, pill for that. If you knew you could shift your energy field and heal yourself by directing attention, you'd stop buying. The education system depends on you sitting still, fragmenting your attention across standardized tests and memorization. If you knew focused attention makes you powerful, you'd reject the system. The media depends on stealing your attention 24/7. If you understood that attention is energy and energy is life force, you'd turn it off. So they buried her work. Not by debunking it. You can't debunk measurable data. They buried it by ignoring it, by making sure it never reached mainstream awareness, by quietly ensuring that this information stayed hidden in academic journals nobody reads. But the elite read those journals. The people running the world, they know. They study biofield science, energy medicine, consciousness research. They understand exactly how this works. And while they're teaching their kids to guard their attention, like it's the most valuable resource on earth, which it is, they're teaching your kids to give it away for free. TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, engineered to fracture attention into 3-second bursts. You literally can't build a coherent energy field that way. It's impossible. Your attention span isn't shrinking by accident. It's being deliberately destroyed because fragmented attention equals no power. And people with no power don't resist. They don't build, they don't create change, they just scroll, consume, and obey. Dr. Hunt spent 4 decades proving that you are not a victim of your circumstances. You're a victim of your scattered attention. And the moment you take it back, the moment you learn to collapse it into coherence, everything changes. Not metaphorically, literally, measurably. Your energy field shifts from chaos to order, and reality responds. So let me show you exactly how they're stealing your attention right now, and then I'll give you the technique to take it back. Because once you see the mechanism, you can't unsee it. And once you practice the technique, you can't go back to being weak. Here's how the attention theft works. You need to see this clearly because it's not obvious. It's designed not to be. You wake up, your energy field is relatively coherent after sleep, assuming you actually slept and didn't stay up scrolling. You have potential. You have life force. Then you check your phone. Instantly, your attention splits into a dozen directions. Email, texts, news, social media. Each notification is a hook pulling your energy outward. You think you're just checking messages. You're not. You're fragmenting your field. Every app you open is optimized for one thing, keeping your attention as long as possible. The engineers who built these platforms studied neuroscience, behavioral psychology, addiction mechanics. They know exactly how to hack your dopamine system, how to create compulsion loops, how to make you scroll just one more time. And every second you spend in that state, your energy field becomes more incoherent. Dr. Hunt measured this. She'd have subjects use their phones for 20 minutes, then measure their biofield. Every single time, the field became fragmented, low frequency, weak. Then she'd have them sit in focused attention for 5 minutes. Field coherence restored. It's that fast. But nobody's teaching you this. Nobody's showing you the graphs, the data, the evidence. Instead, they tell you to be more productive. Multitask. Check your email while on a call. Listen to a podcast while working out. Keep 3 tabs open while writing. And every time you split your attention, you leak energy. By noon, you're exhausted. Not because you worked hard. Because your energy field has been fragmenting all morning. Then, you drink coffee, energy drinks, trying to force your body to produce more energy. But you can't produce more when you're leaking. It's like trying to fill a bucket with holes in it. Doesn't matter how much you pour in, it's draining faster than you can replace it. And here's the really sinister part. The more fragmented your attention becomes, the more you crave distraction. Because a fragmented field feels uncomfortable, anxious, restless. So you reach for your phone again, looking for relief. But the phone is what caused the fragmentation. You're stuck in a loop, seeking comfort from the thing that's draining you. This is by design. Fragmented people are controllable people. They can't focus long enough to see the manipulation. They can't hold attention long enough to learn real skills. They can't sustain energy long enough to build anything meaningful. They're reactive, distracted, weak, perfect consumers, terrible creators. Now let me tell you about the billionaires, the elite, the ones who run everything. You think they're scrolling TikTok? You think they're checking Instagram every 5 minutes? No. They guard their attention like it's gold. Because they know it is. Steve Jobs didn't let his kids use iPads. Bill Gates limited his kids' screen time severely. The people who built these attention extraction devices won't let their own children near them. Why? Because they understand what Dr. Hunt proved. Attention equals energy. Energy equals power. Lose your attention. Lose your power. They practice attention training, meditation, not the trendy kind, the real kind. Deep work sessions, hours of uninterrupted focus. They structure their entire lives around protecting their attention. No notifications, no social media, no fragmentation. Their energy fields stay coherent, strong, and that's why they build empires while everyone else struggles to get through the day. And here's what they teach their kids, and what nobody's teaching yours. 1 hour of coherent attention is worth more than 10 hours of fragmented effort, because coherent attention means coherent energy, and coherent energy bends reality. You make better decisions. You see opportunities others miss. You have the stamina to execute. You become unstoppable. But you weren't taught this. You were taught to fragment yourself. Homework while watching TV, study while listening to music, work while checking your phone. They called it efficiency. It's not. It's sabotage. So here's the technique. This is what Dr. Hunt discovered, what the elite practice, what will change your life if you actually do it. And I mean actually do it. Not just nod along and forget about it. It's called single-point focus training. Every day you're going to practice collapsing your attention into one single point for a specific period of time. Start with 5 minutes. That's it. Just 5 minutes where 100% of your attention goes to one thing. Here's how you do it. Sit down. No phone, no distractions, no music, nothing. Pick a focal point. Could be your breath. Could be a candle flame. Could be a spot on the wall. Could be a physical sensation, like the feeling of your hands resting on your legs. Doesn't matter what you choose. What matters is that you commit completely. Now bring all of your attention to that point. Not 90%, not most of it, all of it. Every bit of awareness you have goes there. And here's what's going to happen. Within seconds, your mind is going to try to pull your attention away. You'll think about your to-do list, something someone said, what you're having for dinner, doesn't matter. Your mind will try to fragment you. This is where most people fail. They think meditation means stopping thoughts. It doesn't. It means noticing when your attention wanders and bringing it back. Over and over. That's the practice. That's the technique. Every time you notice you've drifted and you bring your attention back to your focal point, you're strengthening your energy field. You're training coherence. Dr. Hunt measured this in real time. When someone's attention wandered, their field fragmented. The moment they noticed and brought attention back, the field snapped into coherence again. It's instant, not someday, right now. Do this for 5 minutes a day, just 5, but do it with 100% commitment. No half-assing it. No sitting there thinking about your practice. Actually practice. Focal point. Attention wanders. Bring it back. Again, again, again. After 1 week, you'll notice something. You'll have more energy, not from sleeping more or eating better, from stopping the leak. Your attention is staying more collected throughout the day. You're not as easily distracted. You feel more solid, more present, more here. After 2 weeks, people around you will notice. They won't know what changed, but they'll feel it. Your energy field is becoming coherent, and coherent fields affect everyone nearby. You'll walk into a room and people will pay attention, not because you're trying, because your field is strong. After 30 days, you'll realize you've become a different person. Tasks that used to drain you feel easy. Decisions that used to overwhelm you feel clear. You have stamina, focus, presence. You've stopped leaking energy, and now you're generating it. This is the technique. It's not complicated. It's not mystical. It's pure physics. Energy follows attention. Coherent attention creates coherent energy. Coherent energy creates powerful lives. But here's the thing. You have to actually do it. Not think about doing it. Not plan to do it. Do it. 5 minutes today. Right after you finish watching this video. Because if you don't, your attention will get stolen again. You'll scroll, fragment, leak, and stay exactly where you are. The elite count on that. They count on you knowing the technique but never practicing it. Knowledge without action equals nothing. So prove them wrong. Take back your energy, starting now. Now let me show you something that's going to blow your mind about how energy actually moves. Because Dr. Hunt didn't just measure energy fields, she mapped them. She discovered that your biofield has layers, frequencies, patterns, and they all correspond to different states of consciousness, different levels of power. The lowest frequency she measured was around 250 hertz. This is the frequency of fear, anxiety, survival mode. When you're in this state, your energy field is small, close to your body, incoherent. You're in pure reaction mode. No creativity, no clarity, no power, just survival. Most people live here, not because they're in actual danger, but because their attention is constantly being pulled into fear-based content. News, social media, designed to trigger your amygdala, keep you afraid, keep your field low frequency. Because low frequency equals controllable. Then she measured people in states of calm focus. The frequency jumped to 400 to 800 hertz. The field expanded. Coherence increased. People in this state make better decisions, solve problems easily, think clearly. This is where you want to live. This is baseline power. But then, and this is where it gets wild, she measured people in states of deep coherent attention. What she called higher consciousness states. The frequency spiked above 1500 hertz. The field became massive, expanding feet beyond the body. Coherence was off the charts, and people in this state reported the same things. Time distortion, effortless action, feeling connected to something larger, clarity beyond anything they'd experienced. She called this the frequency of creation. And here's the key. You can't force your way into this state. You can't think your way there. The only way to access it is through sustained, coherent attention. That's it. That's the technique. Everything else is distraction. When your attention is coherent for long enough, your energy field naturally rises in frequency. It's not something you do, it's something that happens when you stop doing everything else, when you stop fragmenting, stop leaking, stop scattering yourself, and when you hit that high coherent state, reality changes. Opportunities appear, synchronicities happen, things that seemed impossible become easy, not because the universe is rewarding you, because your field is now broadcasting a frequency that aligns with creation instead of survival. The elite know this. They structure their entire lives around accessing this state as often as possible. Deep work, flow states, uninterrupted focus. They're not working harder than you. They're working from a higher frequency, and frequency determines outcome. You've been taught to grind, hustle, push, force. That's low-frequency energy, survival mode. It works, kind of, but it's exhausting. You burn out, you break down, because you're fighting reality instead of aligning with it. High-frequency energy feels effortless, not because there's no action, but because the action flows. You're not forcing, you're channeling, and the results are exponentially better with a fraction of the effort. This is what they don't want you to know. That you have access to this state anytime you want. That the only thing standing between you and limitless energy is your scattered attention. That you've been kept weak on purpose, not by chains and locks, but by notifications and distractions. So here's what I want you to understand. This isn't theory. This isn't philosophy. This is measurable science that's been hidden from you. So Dr. Valerie Hunt spent 40 years proving that you are an energy being. That your attention controls your energy, and that your energy determines everything. You can ignore this and stay where you are, fragmented, distracted, drained, or you can practice the technique. 5 minutes a day, single point focus, no distractions, no excuses. And if you actually do it, if you commit to reclaiming your attention and rebuilding your energy field, your life will transform. Not over years, over weeks, because energy doesn't lie. It's either coherent or it's not. You're either leaking or you're generating. There's no in between. The choice is yours. But make it now. Because every second you wait, your attention is being stolen. Your energy is fragmenting, and your power is draining. Take it back. Let me tell you about the moment I realized this was real. Not just intellectually, but viscerally in my body. Undeniable. I'd been researching Dr. Hunt's work for weeks. Reading her studies, looking at the graphs, the spectral analysis data, all of it. And I thought, okay, this makes sense. Attention affects energy fields. Cool. But I didn't feel it yet. It was still just information. Then I tried the technique. 5 minutes. Single point focus. I sat down. No phone. No noise. And I brought all my attention to my breath. Just the sensation of air moving in and out. That's it. Within 30 seconds, my mind exploded with distractions. Things I needed to do, conversations I needed to have, random memories, song lyrics, everything. My attention was scattering in real time. I could feel it, like my awareness was trying to run in 50 directions at once, but I kept bringing it back. Breath, in, out. Attention wanders. Bring it back. Again, again. And after about 3 minutes of this, something shifted. Suddenly, my attention locked in. It wasn't effort anymore. It was like my awareness collapsed into a single point and everything else disappeared. And I felt it. This wave of energy moving up my spine, spreading through my chest, filling my whole body. Not imagination, not placebo, physical sensation. My hands started tingling. My heart rate slowed. I felt completely present. Completely here, for the first time in I don't know how long. When I opened my eyes after 5 minutes, I felt like I'd slept for 8 hours. Everything looked sharper, brighter. I had clarity I hadn't felt in weeks, and I thought, holy shit, this is real. This actually works. So I kept doing it. Every day. 5 minutes turned into 10. 10 turned into 20. And I started noticing changes. Big changes. I stopped getting distracted as easily. I could sit down to work and actually focus for hours without checking my phone. I had energy at the end of the day instead of collapsing on the couch. I started making better decisions, faster. Things that used to stress me out didn't anymore. Not because I was suppressing the stress, but because I had the energy to handle it. People started commenting. asking what changed, saying I seemed different, more solid, more confident, and I realized my energy field is coherent now. It's not leaking. I'm not scattering myself across 100 distractions. I'm here, fully, and people feel it. That's when I understood what Dr. Hunt was really saying. This isn't about meditation. This isn't about spirituality. This is about energy management. You have a finite amount of energy every day, and you're leaking most of it through scattered attention. When you stop the leak, you don't just feel better. You become powerful. And once I experienced that, I couldn't unhear what she'd been trying to tell us. Your attention is your energy. Your energy is your life force. Lose one, lose the other. Master one, master both. So here's what I need you to do. Stop thinking about this and start practicing. Right now. Not tomorrow. Not when you have time. Now. Close this video in a minute. Sit down. No phone, no distractions. Pick your focal point. Breath, sensation, object, doesn't matter. Bring all your attention there. And when it wanders, and it will, bring it back. 5 minutes. That's all. Do that today. Do it tomorrow. Do it every day for a week, and then come back and tell me your energy didn't change. Tell me you didn't notice a difference. You can't. Because the technique works. It's physics. But you have to actually do it, not just understand it. Do it. Now let me explain why this technique is so threatening to the system, why they buried Dr. Hunt's work, why you've never heard this before even though it's scientifically proven. Because if everyone understood that attention equals energy, and that energy determines reality, the entire control structure collapses overnight. Think about it. The education system depends on fragmenting your attention. 45-minute classes, bells ringing, switching subjects constantly. You never develop deep focus. You never learn to sustain attention. By the time you're an adult, you can't concentrate for more than a few minutes. Perfect worker. Terrible creator. The media depends on stealing your attention constantly. Breaking news, notifications, outrage, fear, all designed to keep you hooked, keep you reacting, keep your energy field fragmented and low frequency, because fragmented people don't organize. They don't resist, they don't build alternatives, they just consume. The medical system depends on you believing you're powerless over your health, that you need external intervention, pills, procedures, experts to fix you. If you knew you could heal yourself by raising your energy frequency through focused attention, you'd stop being a customer, and that's a trillion-dollar industry that would evaporate. The corporate world depends on you being drained. Exhausted people don't quit. They don't start businesses, they don't take risks, they just clock in, do the minimum, clock out. Perfect employees. No threat to the system. Every institution benefits from your scattered attention and low energy. Not because they're evil, though some might be, but because the system was built on control. And control requires keeping people weak. Dr. Hunt's work proves you're not weak. You're leaking. And the moment you stop the leak, you become ungovernable. You have energy to think clearly, act decisively, create independently. You don't need them anymore. And that's terrifying to a system built on dependency. So they buried her research. They didn't debunk it. They couldn't. The data is solid. They just made sure you never heard about it. They kept it in academic journals, behind paywalls, in language most people can't understand. And they flooded the mainstream with distractions so you'd never have the attention span to dig deeper. But you're here now. You're hearing this. And once you know, you can't unknow. You can't go back to unconsciously leaking energy. You have a choice now. Keep scattering yourself and stay weak, or practice the technique and reclaim your power. And I'm telling you, the system is counting on you doing nothing. They're counting on you watching this video, nodding along, and then going right back to scrolling. Don't prove them right. Let me tell you about what happens when a critical mass of people reclaim their energy. Because this isn't just about you. This is about everyone. Dr. Hunt also studied group coherence. What happens when multiple people bring their attention into focus at the same time, in the same space? And she found that coherent fields amplify each other. Two people in coherent states don't just add their energy. They multiply it. 3 people. 4 people. The field becomes exponentially stronger. She measured this in groups meditating together, in teams working in flow states, in families sitting in focused presence. The combined biofield became massive, measurably affecting everyone nearby. People walking into the room reported feeling calmer, clearer, more energized, not because of anything being said or done, because the field itself was coherent. Now imagine if 100 people did this, 1,000, 1,000,000. What would happen if a significant portion of the population stopped leaking energy and started generating coherence? The entire system would change. Not through protest, not through politics, through frequency. Because a coherent population can't be controlled. They see through manipulation. They don't react to fear. They create instead of consume. They build new systems instead of complaining about old ones. This is why they work so hard to keep you distracted. It's not about selling ads, though that's part of it. It's about preventing collective coherence, because coherent groups are unstoppable. They organize, they innovate, they transform society. Every major shift in human history happened when groups of people align their attention and energy toward a single vision. Not scattered, not fragmented. Focused, coherent, powerful. And right now, we have the opposite. Billions of people scattering their attention across infinite distractions, leaking energy, staying weak, by design. But it only takes a few to shift the field. Dr. Hunt proved that coherent individuals affect everyone around them. Your coherence raises the frequency of your family, your workplace, your community. You don't have to convince anyone, you don't have to preach, just stop leaking, just practice the technique. Your field will do the rest. So, here's the vision. You start practicing single-point focus, 5 minutes a day. Your energy field becomes coherent. You stop being distracted, drained, controlled. You start creating, building, living powerfully. Then someone notices. They ask what changed. You show them the technique. They practice. Their field becomes coherent. Now there's 2 of you, then 4, then 10. The field amplifies. Within months, you've created a pocket of coherence in a sea of chaos. And that pocket becomes a beacon. People feel it. They're drawn to it. Not because you're marketing or promoting, because coherence attracts. This is how you change the world. Not by fighting the old system, by building a new frequency, one person at a time, starting with you. And if you think that sounds idealistic, impractical, impossible, you're still thinking from a fragmented state, from survival frequency, from the programming they installed to keep you powerless. Shift to coherence and watch what becomes possible. Not someday, now. Let me hit you with one more thing about Dr. Hunt's research that's going to tie this all together. She discovered that your energy field doesn't just affect you and the people around you. It affects physical reality itself. She ran experiments where people in coherent states were asked to influence random events, dice rolls, random number generators, even the behavior of particles in quantum systems. And over thousands of trials, the results were statistically significant. Coherent attention affects probability, not magic. Physics. At the quantum level, observation collapses possibility into reality. And observation is just focused attention. When your attention is scattered, you're collapsing random possibilities. Your reality feels chaotic because your field is chaotic. But when your attention is coherent, you're collapsing possibilities into patterns. Your reality organizes around your focus. Opportunities appear. Synchronicities happen. Things line up. This is why people who master their attention seem lucky. They're not. They're coherent. Their energy field is broadcasting a clear signal, and reality responds to clear signals. You've been broadcasting static your whole life and wondering why nothing works out. Not because you're unlucky, because your signal is incoherent. Fix the signal, and reality fixes itself. So here's the part no one prepares you for. Once you stabilize that coherence, once your attention stops fragmenting and your energy stops leaking, you start seeing the world very differently. Not emotionally, structurally. You begin to notice how everything around you is engineered to pull you out of that state. You'll feel it immediately. You'll sit down to focus and suddenly remember something urgent. You'll reach for your phone without thinking. You'll feel a subtle restlessness, like an itch in your nervous system. That's not weakness. That's withdrawal. You're pulling your energy back from systems that have been feeding on it for years. And here's the uncomfortable truth. The system doesn't need to fight you directly. It just needs to keep you unfocused. Because the moment you become coherent, you stop being predictable. Predictable people can be managed. Coherent people can't. This is why discipline feels so hard at first. You're not fighting laziness. You're fighting an entire ecosystem built on your distraction. Every app, every feed, every notification, every just one more thing is competing for the same resource, your attention. And attention, as you've now experienced, is energy. Once you see that, you can't unsee it. You start noticing how drained people are, how reactive, how easily triggered, how exhausted, but unable to rest, how busy but accomplishing nothing that actually matters to them. And you realize, this isn't normal. This is what energy leakage looks like at scale. Most people are running on emergency power all the time. Their nervous systems never fully settle. Their attention never fully lands. They're constantly half here, half somewhere else. And from that state, every decision is compromised. That's why people stay in jobs they hate. That's why they tolerate relationships that drain them. That's why they know what to do, but never do it. It's not a lack of information. It's a lack of energy. Coherence changes that. When your attention stabilizes, your nervous system stabilizes. When your nervous system stabilizes, your perception sharpens. When your perception sharpens, you stop confusing noise for signal. And when that happens, your priorities rearrange themselves without effort. You don't force better habits. You don't motivate yourself. You simply stop wasting energy on things that don't matter. That's real power. Quiet power. Non-performative power. And it scares the hell out of any system that relies on you being externally driven. Here's something else Dr. Hunt pointed out that almost nobody talks about. Incoherence isn't just mental. It's physiological. Scattered attention creates micro-stress responses throughout the body. Tiny spikes of cortisol. Tiny muscular contractions. Tiny breath disruptions. Over time, those micro-events add up to chronic fatigue, inflammation, anxiety, and burnout. You're not tired because life is hard. You're tired because your attention never rests. Single-point focus isn't about concentration for productivity's sake. It's about giving your nervous system a break from constant reorientation. When your attention stops jumping, your body finally gets the message that it's safe to power down unnecessary defenses. That's why you felt like you slept for 8 hours. That's why your heart rate slowed. That's why your vision sharpened. Your system entered coherence, and coherence is restorative. Now let's talk about the part that really makes people uncomfortable. Responsibility. Once you experience this, you can't blame the world in the same way anymore. You start seeing where you're giving your energy away. You see how often you let outrage hijack your focus, how often you engage with things designed to provoke rather than inform, how often you volunteer your attention to people, platforms, and narratives that give nothing back. That realization can sting. Because reclaiming your energy means reclaiming authorship of your life. No more unconscious leaks, no more, that's just how things are. You begin to ask different questions. Is this worthy of my attention? Is this strengthening or fragmenting me? Is this signal or noise? And the more coherent you become, the less tolerance you have for bullshit, especially your own. That's another reason this isn't widely taught. Coherent people don't buy things impulsively. They don't chase trends. They don't need constant validation. They don't outsource their sense of self. They're internally referenced. And internally referenced people are bad for business models built on insecurity. But here's the twist. Coherence isn't isolating. It's magnetic. When your energy field stabilizes, people feel it before they understand it. Conversations slow down around you. Conflict de-escalates. People listen differently. Not because you're dominating, but because you're present. Fully, undivided. Presence is rare. Rarity creates gravity. That's how leaders actually emerge. Not through titles, not through authority, but through coherence. Others entrain to your state. Their nervous systems sync to yours. Their scattered attention starts to settle just by being around you. This is basic physics. Systems synchronized to the strongest, most stable signal in the field. So when enough individuals stabilize their attention, the collective begins to shift, not through force, but through resonance. That's the part that terrifies centralized power structures, because resonance can't be legislated, it can't be censored, it can't be monetized easily. You can't stop people from breathing and focusing. And once people realize that 5 minutes of disciplined attention does more for their clarity, energy, and agency than years of consumption, the entire narrative collapses. No saviors, no gurus, no dependency, just practice. And this is where most people will still miss it. They'll turn this into another identity, another belief system, another thing to talk about instead of do. They'll argue about terminology, about whether it's energy or neurobiology or attention regulation. They'll want studies, validation, permission. That's the trap. The technique doesn't care what you call it. It only responds to practice. You don't need to believe any of this. You just need to sit down and focus every day, even when it's boring, especially when it's boring. Because boredom is the gateway. It's the moment when your mind realizes it's not being entertained anymore, when it runs out of distractions and starts throwing everything it has at you to regain control. Sit through that. That's where coherence is built, and over time something profound happens. You stop reacting automatically, you stop identifying with every thought, you stop being dragged by every emotional current. You still feel things, maybe more intensely, but you're not owned by them. There's space, choice, agency. That's freedom. Not freedom as a concept, freedom as a physiological state. And once you taste that, the old world starts to look small, loud, desperate. You'll see how much of society is built on artificial urgency, how often you're being told to care right now about something that will mean nothing in a week, how fear is used to collapse attention outward instead of inward. You'll also see something hopeful. You'll notice that the people quietly changing the world aren't the loudest ones. They're the most coherent ones, the builders, the creators, the ones who don't waste energy on performative outrage or endless debate. They focus, they act, they repeat, and they're winning. Not in the spotlight, but in reality. So if you're waiting for permission, this is it. If you're waiting for proof, your own nervous system is the lab. If you're waiting for the right time, there isn't one. 5 minutes. One point of focus. Every day. No drama. No mysticism. No excuses. Just stop leaking. Because the moment you do, everything you've been searching for, clarity, energy, confidence, direction, stops being something you chase and starts being something you generate. And that changes everything. And here's the final layer most people never reach, even after they start practicing. At some point, coherence stops feeling like something you do and starts feeling like something you protect. You'll notice this shift quietly. You'll wake up one morning and realize you don't want to check your phone. Not because you're disciplined, but because you can feel, physically, what it would cost you. You'll sense the fragmentation before it happens. A subtle dulling, a static creeping in. And you'll choose not to pay that price. That's when you know your sensitivity has increased. Coherence sharpens perception, not just of the world, but of your internal state. You begin to feel energy loss the same way you feel hunger or fatigue. And once you can feel it, you stop rationalizing it away. You stop saying, it's not a big deal. You stop saying, just this once. You stop trading clarity for stimulation, not out of morality, out of self-respect. This is also when you realize how radical this practice actually is. A coherent person doesn't need constant input. They don't need to be updated every second. They don't need to have an opinion on everything. They don't need to signal alignment or outrage or virtue. Their sense of meaning comes from depth, not volume. Depth threatens systems built on scale, because depth slows you down in the right way. It makes you deliberate. It makes you precise. It makes you hard to rush, hard to scare, hard to herd. And that's why the pressure to fragment never fully stops. You'll feel it when you start pulling ahead, when your work improves, when your thinking gets clearer, when your presence changes how rooms feel. That's when distractions get louder, not quieter, not because someone is targeting you personally, but because you're moving against the current. Entropy always pushes toward dispersion. Coherence always requires intention. But here's the part that should encourage you. The effort required to maintain coherence is far less than the effort required to live fragmented. Fragmentation is exhausting. Coherence is efficient. Once your system learns how to settle, it wants to stay there. Focus stops feeling like strain and starts feeling like home. Distraction starts to feel abrasive instead of entertaining. And from that state, something unexpected happens. Your goals simplify. You stop wanting 1,000 things. You want a few things, clearly, and because your energy isn't scattered, those few things actually move. Momentum builds. Not manic momentum, clean momentum. The kind where actions compound instead of cancel each other out. This is where people start calling it luck. Opportunities appear at the right time. You meet the right people. Ideas land fully formed. Obstacles resolve with less resistance. But nothing mystical is happening. A coherent system detects and utilizes patterns faster. You see openings others miss because your attention isn't buried under noise. You hear what's actually being said instead of what you expect to hear. You respond instead of react. That's strategic advantage at the most fundamental level. And yes, this extends outward. When enough people in a group stabilize their attention, the group itself becomes intelligent. Decisions improve. Conflict drops. Creativity increases. Not because everyone agrees, but because disagreement happens without fragmentation. Energy stays in the room instead of leaking into ego defense. Imagine workplaces like that. Families like that, communities like that. That's not utopian. That's coherent. And it starts exactly where it started for you. Sitting still, breathing, refusing to follow the mind every time it twitches. No apps, no equipment, no ideology, just attention training. Which brings us to the part that's hardest to hear. No one is coming to save you from distraction. There will be no announcement, no institutional endorsement, no cultural shift handed down from above. If coherence spreads, it will spread person by person, quietly, almost invisibly, because it doesn't announce itself. It just works. The people who benefit most from fragmentation will never promote the thing that dissolves it. Why would they? A focused population doesn't need constant management. It self-organizes. So the responsibility lands where it always has, on the individual, not in a heroic way, in a practical way. 5 minutes a day is enough to start. 10 minutes changes your baseline. 20 minutes rewires how you experience time itself, but only if it's real practice. Not guided entertainment, not background mindfulness, actual single-point focus, attention wandering, attention returning, over and over. That's the rep. That's the training. That's the work. And the work pays dividends in every domain: health, creativity, relationships, decision-making, because all of those domains draw from the same underlying resource: energy. So if you take nothing else from this, take this. Your life doesn't feel the way it does because you're broken. It feels the way it does because your attention is fragmented. Fix that one variable, and the rest reorganizes around it. Not instantly, not effortlessly, but inevitably. Coherence is not fragile. It's resilient. Once established, it becomes your default state. And from that state, you don't just survive the system. You outgrow it. Quietly. Calmly. Fully awake. And that's the part no one can take from you. So here's the final piece. The technique I've been teaching you, single-point focus, isn't just about feeling better or having more energy. It's about becoming a reality architect. Someone who doesn't react to circumstances, but creates them. Someone who doesn't wait for opportunities, but generates them through coherent attention. This is what the elite understand. This is what they practice. This is why they win while everyone else struggles. Not because they're smarter or more talented, because they're coherent. And now you know. You have the technique. You have the science. You have the proof. The only question left is, will you practice? Because I'm telling you right now, everything changes when you do. Not eventually, immediately. Your energy field responds instantly to coherent attention, and reality responds to coherent fields. 5 minutes today. That's all I'm asking. Sit down, pick your focal point, bring your attention there and hold it. When it wanders, bring it back. Simple. Not easy, but simple. Do that every day for 30 days and your life will be unrecognizable. You'll have energy you forgot was possible. Clarity that cuts through confusion. Presence that commands respect. Power that doesn't need to be announced because everyone feels it. This is the technique Dr. Valerie Hunt revealed. This is how you manipulate energy. Not through force, through focus. Not through effort, through attention. Not through doing more, through leaking less. And they've been hiding it from you because coherent people are dangerous. Coherent people don't comply. They create. They don't consume. They build. They don't react. They lead. Become dangerous. Start now.